And this is news from UK. Former Prime Minister Boris Johnson is in the eye of a storm over alleged mishandling of the COVID pandemic under his leadership. A damning report by a public inquiry says Boris Johnson oversaw a toxic, chaotic and dithering response to the COVID pandemic with a delay to locking the country down, resulting in about 23,000 more deaths. The report has found that the UK government's COVID response was too little, too late, and it says that Boris Johnson failed to grasp the calamity facing the country and even delayed crucial action in early 2020.
Also, the failure to lock down earlier may have cost lives. Had the lockdown been imposed 1 week earlier than the 23rd of March, the evidence suggests that the number of deaths in England alone in the first wave up until the 1st of July 2020 would have been reduced by 48%. That is approximately 23,000 fewer deaths.
The public report says that the first national lockdown was imposed too late and that 23,000 lives could have been saved. That is, if it had been announced just 1 week earlier. It even adds that draconian lockdowns could have been avoided entirely if ministers had acted faster in February 2020. The inquiry blames a toxic, sexist and chaotic culture at the heart of government, led in part by Dominic Cummings, which the report says undermined the Prime Minister's authority. In fact, taking on Johnson, Baroness Hallett, who led the inquiry, says that Johnson did not seek to restrain Cummings, nor did he exercise proper leadership in rectifying the toxic and chaotic culture adversely affecting decision-making. Hallett in the report even says that Downing Street was riddled with fear, suspicion and distrust, and that Boris Johnson's tenure as Prime Minister ended in July 2022, which is partly due to the Partygate scandal in which he was found guilty of breaking COVID-19 rules by attending a gathering to celebrate his birthday.
The very least the public is entitled to expect is that those making the rules will abide by them. Across the UK, there were instances and allegations of rule breaking by ministers and advisers that caused huge distress and undermined the confidence of the public in their governments. Finally, under this heading, there was a toxic and chaotic culture at the heart of the UK government, and the relationship between ministers in Northern Ireland was poor. This kind of culture is detrimental to good decision-making.
The report goes on to criticize then Health Secretary Matt Hancock and top official Chris Wormald for failing to correct misleading claims about the government's preparedness. Overall, the inquiry says that thousands of UK's 227,000 COVID deaths were avoidable, adding that an earlier lockdown could have cut first wave deaths by as much as 48%. The report says that lockdown undoubtedly saved lives but left lasting scars on society, disrupting childhood, damaging the economy and delaying non-COVID treatment as well. The COVID-bereaved Families for Justice group says that the findings show Johnson put his political reputation ahead of public safety. The report makes 19 key recommendations and warns that without urgent reform, the UK risks repeating the same mistakes. These recommendations include ensuring that decisions and their implications are clearly communicated to the public, need for greater parliamentary scrutiny of the use of emergency powers, as well as improve consideration in an emergency of the impact that decisions might have on those most at risk. Prime Minister Keir Starmer says that the government will carefully consider the findings and respond soon. Notably, UK recorded more than 100,000 deaths from COVID, a similar death rate to the United States and Italy, but higher than elsewhere in Western Europe. And this even as UK has still been recovering from the economic consequences after COVID pandemic.